health cost is one of them. The health fee is one of them, because you can't, by the time you see it show up on your account for the first time, you can't refute it. Or like deny it or like waive it. And it's
My
$850.
wife has noticed here it's a lot more than she went to Miami and UC Blue Ash.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more of those fees.
I blame top-heavy administration why that communication isn't clear between us and the students.
Yeah, it's a
It's a big deal. The total so far is $1,600 they tried to steal from me. When I mean steal, I mean I didn't have a choice to prevent it, and the preventative methods they gave me require that I know ahead of time, which their excuse was, oh, you could read our entire website and analyze the whole thing, and then you would have avoided it. And I'm like, that's your reasoning?
Was it the insurance mostly?
Insurance.
That's the big one.
There's a lot of there was little things that I had to like figure out.
Late registration, that's BS. She's had to fight that many times.
Yep. And again, it's not that these things exist, it's the absence of communication.
Yes.
That somebody had to observe and knows about and omits to not. There's just no position filled there.
Right. Yeah. We've had to. Did you get any of them taken off?
I'm still fighting them.
Okay.
I refuse to pay them eventually, but we'll see how it goes
Are
out.
you doing it over the phone or in person?
I'm doing it in person.
Okay.
That's the only
you
way.
better,
That's the only
you
way.
better walk in there. Have you talked to Ms. Blackstone?
I've talked to pretty much everybody. The next step is the dean, and I'm going straight to the dean. That's
No, they're so friendly. They try to do so many different
It's
like
bad.
dirty things.
oh, it's so messy.
So, for example, like they are trying to reduce a scholarship as a set amount and like subtract it money so they can have some of my financial aid. Because I'm like, technically, if I have a full ride, I'm like, I should get all of my grant money
For sure.
back.
Yeah.
Like that's how it works.
Yeah.
Money.
But no, like they like keep reducing my scholarship down.
Oh, the Great
like-
Minds?
No, I have a presidential scholarship here.
Okay. Well, you
And
did
like,
get
they've
Great
reduced it by
Minds
like
too,
over
right?
2,000.
You got Great Minds also. is it?
I looked.
But it would
what
exclude
would
you
it
from
say in there?
UPP. Did you sign up for the Great Minds? Because you're within 2
Yeah.
years.
I was gonna do UPP, but I couldn't get child welfare. It's the first one to fit in my schedule for the semester.
Okay. I mean, you could take it next year though too.
Yeah.
If you wanted. I know my wife registered here. She's had to fight a lot of those fees, and at one point you just want to be done with it.
Yeah.
So all I had today was eco maps, and I know I mentioned ways I track myself. I like to track myself with like this life cycle. I got 2 hours and 59 minutes of sleep Friday and 3 hours and 15 on Saturday. 2:59, 3:15. Yeah. Ooh, that sucks. 3:12 actually. So different things you do. Exercise. There was a little bit of that. I don't know why it says I exercise that much. That seems like a exaggeration.
Really count your steps.
It does, but it said 2 hours and 54 minutes. I mean, maybe I did. I had 14,000 steps, so that seems like still a long time. But is everyone ready for eco maps? This is exactly how you're going to make it. I know you've all been waiting with bated breath.
When you teach that, can you write it down on this piece of paper? Like the example every time?
Like when you write it?
No, for eco map. When you make it out, like and teach us stuff, can you write it down on this piece of paper?
I'm unclear on what's being requested. Like how she's going to draw it on here. You want
I want you to make the eco map and stuff
really?
on this piece of paper.
Okay. Is it okay if we watch the video first and then you can? Because it would be hard for me to do it for you. It's all going to be individual.
No.
Huh? Uh-oh. You gotta cap it tight. So yeah, it will all be individual. For me, I actually have my phone track me and I know each space I've been to throughout. And that's helpful. So if you want a little cheat sheet, even just for a few days, you could get the life cycle. I don't know if they have it for Androids. Who all has an Android? And who all has an iPhone?
You said it was called life cycle.
Yeah, life cycle. That'll track you. So I won't be able to write yours out. Like I can show you same way I did with here on the genogram, what mine would look like. Like mine is pretty similar every week. In the summer, it shifts a little bit but I have Central State in the morning on Mondays. So like a good chunk of my time, I'm up here. I've got a practice course that you guys get your junior or senior year. I teach practice 2, and that practice 2 is about how to run a group. That's my Monday morning. On Monday afternoon, I go to my private practice and I see 5 clients. I have a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, and a 7. Like per our teachers union, we can see 8, 9 clients each week, like whatever one work day would be for you. So I do 5 of those Monday. Tuesday, I save for like all of our administrative stuff. I do try to exercise, but they've closed that gym recently. Has anybody used the gym that we have access to? There's a treadmill. Yeah.
No, they closed it.
It's a shower and a treadmill, and then weights, every single weight you would need. But it's like treadmills, elliptical. How long is it closed for? NPC? Was it open at all today or yesterday?
I'm not sure.
So I was using that every day. I try to make it like that was my lunch break. So depending on what you value, when I found out we were going to have 4 kids super late in life, I'm like, I better get my behind back in shape. So I did some of that. Wednesdays become a busy day for me because I do our private practice. And that's 3 clients in the morning. So that puts me at about 8 for the week. I come up here and teach the practice course and then kind of do some of our administrative duties Wednesday. We have 2 grants that I meet for on Wednesday afternoon. So as you can see, like our eco map is different for all of us. The majority of my time is spent. I probably have got 50 some hours a week at work because I do have a job. I also supervise that to keep my supervision license. So I practice with my LISW. I supervise with my LISWS. That's Friday morning at Hbse. And I go in there 9 to 11. I help clinically supervise the social workers. I come up here and teach the practice course. Thursday, they have our Senate meeting every Thursday, or college meeting, or departmental meeting. And that's always at 4. And weekends, I really do try to do with the family. So I'll show you what this looks like. Would it help if you like snapped a picture when she's done writing this up so you can have?
I was about to just go along and make my own while
Okay. Yeah. So let's just get this going. It's just going to be different for all of us. That's kind of where I'm going with this.
We put the parent or child in the center and visually display the key relationships they have. We talk with parents and children from a strength-based and person-centered perspective, forming a relationship in which we work together to empower the parent or child. The eco-map shows the important nurturing or conflict-laden connections between the family and the world.
So you're going to have yourself in the center of this, like you are the center of attention, and what are the different spaces you go: work, school, church, exercise, groups, sports, and people you have relationships with, like counselors. If you go across the street to Dr. Hunt, does anybody go? Am I pointing the right way? We all have free access to counseling here. It's over there. So, continue.
It demonstrates the flow of resources or lack thereof. As an assessment tool, an eco-map can be helpful in determining the family's strengths, resources, needs, and deficits. It helps the parents and children to understand the various systems with which they interact, and it gives us the opportunity to encourage them to build upon their network if necessary. For example, we will make an eco-map for Michelle, the author's daughter, a healthy 17-year-old teenager. But before we start with the example, let's explore what resources people usually have. When we think about supports, we can divide them into informal and formal supports. Informal supports are family members and friends, people who don't get paid to be with us. On the other end are formal supports. We think about school, intervention programs, doctors, CPS, and CASA. Formal supports are assigned to work with us. They often get paid to do so. Between the formal and informal supports, there are the institutions we choose to be involved with. Examples are the workplace, clubs, faith organizations, and neighbors. That is where we meet people because we are part of the same group. When we draw an eco map, we look at all these realms of life to find support for the parent or child. Let's now see what Michelle's eco map looks like, what formal and informal support she has, what organizations she is part of, and who she is acquainted with at each of these organizations. We start by putting the person we interview in the middle of the paper and add some empty circles to get it started. A good first question to ask is, who is important in your life? Michelle will tell you about her parents, sisters, and boyfriend. When we ask Michelle where she spends most of her time, she will tell you she spends most of her time at school. We can ask her who important teachers are and who she spends time with at school. She has a friend at school she also meets outside of school. A good next question is, what groups, activities, or memberships do you hold or belong to? Michelle will then go into a long conversation that she is an activist and is a member of several activist groups, and who she knows there, that she is a rock climber and who her favorite coach is and who her climbing friends are. She also tells you she goes to church and a church group, but she isn't close with anyone there. Since we cannot put in a person's name for her church activities, we just put church in the circle. This is a place she meets people and could possibly build on her support network. Asking Michelle about her neighbors, she'll tell you that she has a neighbor whom she could contact in case of emergency. Can the parent or youth you interview name an emergency contact? As a last question, we verify if the diagram is complete. Is there anyone missing? Are there any other groups or places you go to during the week? Michelle will tell you that she goes to vision therapy once a week to learn to focus better. Now we have identified whom Michelle spends time with.
So the next half, they do also, this is a 17-year-old, so keep in mind, this is a teenager. They may have different stuff than you guys go to, like depending on your age. Like as an adult, and I know more so when I was an adult, I had access to things that I do not know for sure if you guys had access to. When you're counseling, it can help to see if I'm spending all my time at the casino, for example, or all my time at the bar, for example. Like if those start coming up, and again, that's some of the challenging discussions. So sometimes a client's not going to self-report that right away. Maybe they get busted and are on probation and do have to come in for addictions counseling. So they do tell you about it, but maybe say half of what they do. But it can paint you a picture along with the genetics that you got. You're going to have a picture painted of what do they do with all their time? Like, are they doing a 40-hour-a-week job like most people have to just stay afloat? I was going to say to survive and thrive, you might need 50 or 60 hours nowadays. And then where are those jobs? Do they go to the casino? Do they go to the bar? Are now in Ohio, things are legal that when I was a kid, I think they would actually kick us out of school for, put us in handcuffs. But like, do they spend some of their money there? Do they go to, the different areas that they're listing here? This is a 17-year-old, so you're not going to see some of the adult activities that you can put. So keep that in mind. This is one of the best examples I've found online. But with this, you can counsel both teenagers and adults. And they're going to break down similar to the genogram, the energy that goes into this, like if they give or take, or it's a bad relationship or a good one. So it's similar in that sense, but this is no like family relation whatsoever.
Review what questions we've asked to get here, and then we'll see how she relates to everyone. Here are some questions you may want to ask to build the eco map.
I'm going to pause it at the end of this, just so if you want to take a picture or if you want to write them down. Here's the last one. Anyone missing? So who is important in your life? What do you spend most time with? Yes. Yep.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. What groups, activities, or membership do you hold or belong to? Like we have to be a part of CSWE here. That's Council on Social Work Education. And by doing that, we let you guys skip half of graduate school. I'm super jealous of those of you who get that because I had a dumb psychology degree and I'm salty about it. and I'll always tell you about it because I had to take 65 graduate hours, not 34 like you can do at Miami or wherever. So that's one of the memberships we belong to, CSWE or NISW. That's the National Association of Social Workers, which you all can join right now too. As students, it might even be free. What is your source of income? Who do you talk to when you're there? I skipped one. Those memberships. Source of income could even be temporarily student loans. Some people just solely focus on school and do the student loans. Who do you talk to in your neighborhood? Can you name an emergency contact? Are there any clubs? And it's showing like outside supports they might have, people like relationships that are important. Like we all need to talk to somebody. I know everything's gone online since the pandemic, and we could survive on Facebook and Grubhub and DoorDash and like hole up in our apartment, maybe even work online. But there's some research showing that might not be healthy. So like that can tell you some information if somebody's holing up and not going anywhere. Are there any other clubs or places you visit during the week? And is anyone missing? So we'll go back to it and then show the energy. I like this one, as I know it's really just based off location, but it reminds me of where I went. I can see what I do, how often I sleep at night. I do need to sleep more. If I exercise, how many steps I've gotten. My 2 hours of driving every day, because I come from Cincinnati, so I drive 122 miles a day, and that's why when the car breaks down, it actually kind of sucks. And you can kind of fill in some of these if you're like, oh yeah, that's right, I went there for church this weekend, or I went to that birthday party, and they're a good friend and they're an important support.
The next step is to explore the quality of these relationships. Relationships might be depicted as close or distant, strong or weak, one-sided or mutual.
So that's your key for this.
Michelle loves her parents and thickens the line between herself and her parents. The arrows point both ways as she receives and gives love. She also loves her sisters, her boyfriend, and other friends, and identifies these relationships as reciprocal. Michelle mainly receives energy from her rock climbing coach, her teacher in school, and her vision therapist. So the arrow points towards Michelle, but not the other way.
Those are usually people that you are paying also. So that's the energy exchanges. You pay them, and like the therapist talks to you, or you pay the school, whether it's your parents' tax dollars and the teacher's paid, or the coach. And that's why, just to keep that in mind, if like energy is just coming towards you, you may pay them for a service.
Michelle and her school counselor argue a lot. This relationship is a strenuous one. We put stripes to show the relationship is taxing. The relationship with the neighbors is not very active, but it gives Michelle peace of mind to have someone to go to in case of a fire or other pressing things. The dashed line shows the relationship, although significant, is tenuous. If the parents or youth you interview give a lot of energy to everyone, but don't receive much back, there is not a balance and it becomes draining. Or if the interviewee receives mostly energy, but is not giving much back, we can likewise be aware of the impacts this could have. As you can see, an eco map gives you a good overview of the dynamics of someone's relationships. It shows you what groups your individual belongs to, what support they have within each group, and where there is a possibility to grow the support network. It creates a meaningful dialogue between volunteer or caseworker and parent or child. Making an eco map together will give you the opportunity to gain understanding of the family's social environment and evaluate connections together. We put a date on the map. Over time, relationships will change. If we give Michelle strategies on how to work with her counselor and how to make friends at church, we have empowered her. And maybe next time we make an eco map with her, it will show. We hope you have enjoyed watching this video. We wish you success in learning more about the children and families you work with. Keep looking for how to reconnect the children with their relatives and other emotional supports. Remember that parents need support as well. Feel free to subscribe to my channel and watch other videos that might be useful for you or your work. Thank you for all you do.
So that is the best quick
All of these
overview
people
I've
have
gotten.
experienced homelessness.
And I wanted to open it up for questions from everybody. Yes.
I'm just curious to clarify more on reciprocal. So reciprocal doesn't mean like that you guys are both, like, say I give you energy, you're giving me energy back or whatever, like we're exchanging, something. It also can refer to like if I'm giving you it and you're not giving me back.
Mm.
Okay,
Yep.
so it's universal in that sense. It's interchangeable as long as you describe or like elaborate.
Where the key is, definitely, yeah.
Okay.
So however you describe it, and then using the keys for the symbols. There's no one certain way to make it. Like there's always a general generic depiction, but just to try to cover at least, the majority of your week, like where your energy is going, where your stuff. If I made one of these my first 2 years of college, I would see I was drinking enough. I should be failing out of college. And I was. I had a 0.59 my sophomore year. And when I was able to identify that, I was able to turn that around. And from, I guess, second semester, sophomore year on out, I made Dean's List 7 consecutive semesters. So it can give you information that's useful when you're working with clients. And that's kind of the point of making them. And I really just wanted to take this class, cover that, and then give you guys the rest of the time to work on them. But because we did finish, we're yes.
So it's more like your relationship with people, not more like what you do. Because like you just said, you found if you were to do this in your first 2 years of college, you found out you drank too much. I don't understand how you would find that out from that map. Like where would you put that at?
I was showing all the bars I was going to that, like, what the way you individualize it. Like the people that I were hanging out with, they were all the guys that I would drink, smoke, and party all day with. So like the breakdown there showed me and what their careers were, what their jobs were. It at least told me I needed a shift. Other people may have been okay with that, like no judgment. But I saw the direction it was taking me, and I probably wasn't going to fit. The 0.59 midterm sophomore year was like the big one. I'm like, ooh, I'm not.
Okay, so what about, you said you spend a lot of time driving throughout the week. How would you put that on there? 'Cause it's just you by yourself, so who would you put the relationship?
I would put it Central State because it's 61 miles away. So I could also put a key on there, like Central State University, 61-mile drive. So you just.
Or like how she had like church on hers, like just church.
Because I don't know, I get what you're saying, but like looking from the example,
Mhm.
I feel like you really can't tell what they do in a week from looking at that map.
Right.
Like it said church there, but I feel like that's not really, like if you go to church more than once a week, and it's just on there once, I feel like it's
Sure.
no point putting it on there, dude.
Right. And you as an individual, so this is, again, where the counseling piece will get into it, and you'll have a dialogue. You'll know exactly what that means. You'll try to describe it as well as you can in the key. If you want to do the number of times per week you go to church or the energy you get from church, things of that nature, however detailed you want. And that it's almost the same as what do you want to get out of counseling. Like if I give them a line of BS and just don't tell them any honesty about my life, they're probably not going to help me because I'm just like, yeah, everything's fine. I just had been arrested. I didn't want to report that. And as counselors, social workers or counselors with a license, we give our clients unconditional positive regard. Like we're not going to, we can challenge them, but you don't full on, say, I think you're full of shit. Like you would use other words to be like, so what I'm hearing you say is you're working really hard on your grades and studying every night. Like how long are you studying? And then how long are you going to those bars? So it will be information individual to you. You'll try to detail that with the key as much as you can. And then if I had questions, I can ask you, but ideally just so you know how to make it for yourself so that when you make this with a client, you can teach them how to make it. If that answers any of your questions.
Okay, for me, just so I can summarize my brain, let me know if this makes sense, that the purpose of this is really to determine basically the strength at which you're associated with these areas, right, these variables, as well as the influence they have on you and vice versa, is basically.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had a random question. If you have a sheet of paper I can borrow, I wanted to give you guys a sign-in sheet, but I did want to just give you time to work on this, and that was it. Because I'm opening chapter 4 next. Thank you.
Are you gonna post this video?
I can, yeah. Did I, excuse me, did I?
So far, the only thing that was assigned.
This is what 10 pounds
was
about.
the genogram.
Looks like.
The genogram?
Genogram.
Or so the genogram is, I do assignments about every few weeks, so.
So right now, those two are the only thing that was given out.
Yeah, and I don't think I've given you a space to turn in this yet. It's the eco map. Let me check. I would say probably no, but I can check.
And when's this due?
Let's pick a date together.
How
I'm
about?
thinking about 3 weeks.
Yeah, I was gonna say after the.
You want, okay. Give you enough time to detail it, and let's see here. We'll do assignments. We'll be covering, we finished chapter 3, we'll cover 4 and even some of 5 in the meantime, and even get a space for, did I put that onto yours? Is that visible to you guys?
Well, not when I go. There's nothing when I go on mine.
Well, you can turn in your genogram here, and I know just because you guys have turned it in, I'm a little behind on that, but let's get rid of these just so we can bulk edit. Then we'll do does it notify you guys when you have, yeah.
No, that's not even bad.
That's so weird. It may
It
be
just tell me when
somehow,
the date approaching. They don't tell me why you add nothing on there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
right, okay. Let's see if,
I'm curious if it shows up in this little bell icon though, on the D2L.
here we go, I'll just hide them. Let's do that. Because that way, these are for practice, so let me hide that. And then we're gonna get the eco map. You want a full 3 weeks. These are gonna be some pimp ass eco maps you're making. Like badass, 3-dimensional and color. And
Black and white.
eco map.
Why can't I see?
The turn-in thing. Go to probably content and then
I want to.
assignments. Because I have open, if you haven't turned in yet,
Because when I go to it,
I make sure it's open for you now.
it just shows me the last thing that I see is the.
Are you in content or
Well,
in?
I do it on my laptop. I check on my phone. I do it on my laptop as well, but I just went to check on my phone soon to see if maybe.
I have heard about accessibility different.
Cause I like every time I do my homework, I go through all my classes just to make sure everything is, turned in. And when I went to your class, it was still nothing on there. Cause I know you said you're gonna make it a way so we can turn it in paper and online. So I went and checked.
Well, right, you can turn it on paper, but do everything online. That's for if we're audited by CSWE. I've got your eco maps is very common, genograms is very common. So it should be here. 3 weeks for real?
When did you post the
I was
turn
joking.
in?
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's a bit long. I
3
think
weeks
that's a
I
bit
was
long. I
so-
can do this.
The genogram?
Yeah, when did you post that?
It
Oh,
was under like you had to hit, it wasn't under content.
we'll go
it was under,
2.5. It's under, I do,
assignments.
yeah, everything's under, I only use 3 things. I'm a very simple. I've got assignments, announcements.
There it is, course activity.
So course activities, assignments, and then I think the announcements are supposed to go to your email. Is that true? Yeah, here's your sign-in sheet.
They come to my little book.
Okay.
Are you able to see it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And we'll go 2.5 weeks, just that way, because we'll want to start presenting on a major mental health disorder before spring break. Yeah, There's only like 4 or 5 major assignments in this
Oh,
class.
okay. Okay. How much is the genogram?
The same.
I mean, it just kind of funny.
And it is weird how points are just like, some people are big on just 10 points. I'm like, 10?
But if there's not a lot of assignments, then that's fine. But like 2 minutes for like 6 assignments, like that's.
'Cause I try to get it to where it ends up around 1,000 to 1,200. That way you can like see from there.
Mhm.
Makes sense if you base off the details in the content. And I notice like writing classes, I have higher points because there's little variables that they can judge. And other classes are just like,
It's like,
yeah, 3 points to
yeah,
learn.
turn it
It's
in,
like,
or-
I don't
yeah.
care about
Right.
the between, just as long as you get these 3 points, those
Yeah,
ones tend to be lower.
yeah.
Statistics for some reason, that's a really low score. Like 1 point, and like 10 for the
Thank
entire.
God.
Oh, it's weird, but also informative.
Which class is it?
Statistics. Like,
Oh. Well, at some point, are you a social work major? That is a required one. Yeah.
You gotta be able to read statistical data, even if it's not like just social sciences and stuff like that.
They'll drag you through it.
It's super helpful.
They'll put you in a group and drag you through it,
And
even
you
if
can use it
You
to
take
like,
it,
basic.
what's his name?
Buckmeyer?
Adam Beach.
Oh yeah, Veach is good.
Oh, I think I had him before. That name sounds so familiar.
From Derek something online. He's this good too.
Yeah. Oh, I skipped one. So yeah, Thursday we'll get into this. I just wanted to give you a space.
And so,
Yes.
that's another question I have. So for the PowerPoint, so they're basically just like our lecture.
They are.
So they're not, because it throws me off when we do a PowerPoint, but then this.
Well, I mean, that is the book. And PowerPoints come
it's
straight from the book.
text, yeah.
And it's just us
Just
talking
talking about
and
it.
finding things you have questions about.
Okay. 'Cause every time I see it, I'm like, okay.
You
but
think
it's not a, like.
so? And what that means
Yeah,
is you guys will have 4 or 5 major assignments. You got the genogram, the eco map. You'll lead a discussion on a major mental health group. So you're going to give a presentation on a major mental health disorder. So if it's anorexia, addiction, alcoholism,
Mhm.
poverty, anything else.
Yeah.
So that is the big presentation, and the final paper is also what's in the syllabus, and it's using all of those, the genogram, the eco map, and if it's a major mental health disorder that interests you, how that has affected you, why that, and it's right in the syllabus. Yeah.
Like how big does the presentation need to be? Like how many slides?
Most folks go 12 to 15 minutes. You can show a video in it.
Minute?
Minutes?
Yeah.
Not
But
five.
no matter-
Minutes.
I mean, a minute a slide, and often people will throw a video in there that describes the major mental health disorder.
So
that
like
they're
our
presenting.
video could be like 10 minutes.
It's up to you. It's entirely up to you how
The
detailed.
important question is, will it affect our score based off how the person
Yeah.
Yeah.
make it?
Will it?
I'm generally pretty reasonable for everybody. You show up, you do your work, you're going to do okay.
Okay.
Like don't overthink it. That's what I always say.
When you say paper too, is it gonna be like a research format kind of paper? Or
It
just-
is, yeah. The
Okay.
final paper is 6 to 8 pages.